Hello everyone and welcome back. As we all know, it is spooky season, so spooky we all must be. And I was thinking, how can I contribute by making something spooky? So I got this headstone plaque from Michael's, and I got it so I can make a beetle, but looking at it, I don't think I wanted to take up the whole space, so I'm just gonna make a small one. And I think I'll just lean into the headstone shape and just make a headstone with a beetle on it. Now we got the little leggies here, just sketching that in, just so I can see roughly what kind of beetle I want to make. And I think on both sides I want to put some spider webs there. They don't have to be exactly the same. I also want to have two mirroring snakes at the bottom here. The little squiggles there, you see, I was gonna write like a couple people on there, but I forgot. So I ended up going with just the big RIP in the center instead, which works out because I'm not very good with lettering, and in hindsight, I think going with the full family would have been tedious, so what I ended up going with in the end works out. To start off, I just cover the whole front and sides with some bacon bond, and I just need a thin layer of that, and I just smooth that out with my finger. And after rolling some sheets of clay through my pasta roller, I just lay it down and just pressing along the edges so I don't get any air pockets, which can lead to some cracks. Though in this case, would make sense, but I want to intentionally make these cracks myself. I can't have it just being done for me. For the beetle, I'm just mapping out roughly the shape of the beetle. That I will refine later. For the mouth pincers, I just sculpt some half moons of clay and just lay it on the face. And I just used my ball tool and a silicone shaper to define the teethy parts. And here's a close-up so you can see a bit better what I'm doing there. So I'm bulking out the head now. I thought the head that I made initially was too small for the body, so I'm just making it wider. I think this makes sense with the mouth pincers, and it gives the beetle a nice silhouette. So I put these little nubs of clay down, and I guess they're eyes. I'm not really sure, but I guess they're eyes. I didn't go into it with that intention, but it kind of looks like it, so they're eyes. And they're just little cones of clay that I put on there and blend out. And then I'm just bulking out the very back of the head so it protrudes upwards more. For the little leggies, they're just noodles of clay that I texture slightly just to give the impression of beetle legs. For the webs, all I do is just roll out some really thin, small noodles of clay and then cut some more smaller pieces and randomly place them. Now I'm just mapping out where I want the RIP to be, and I'm just using my needle tool to do that. I go in and define the shape more with my silicone shapers as well as my needle tool again. For the snakes, they're just long, squiggly noodles of clay, and I wanted these to be more symmetrical than the spider webs, so I try and mirror the snakes on both sides. After I get the placement right, I'll just go ahead and blend them in. So I really like the snakes. They really completed the headstone part for me. Even though I went into this wanting to make a beetle, I think the snakes really just sell it for me. Maybe I just like snakes. And they look so cute. They're little derpy snakes. Now I'm gouging into the clay with my needle tool so I can make the cracks that I insisted on making myself. Now I'm going to start texturing the whole headstone with a small ball of aluminum foil, and I'm just really jamming it in there. And then I'm going to go on top with a toothbrush to soften the texturing from the aluminum foil and to get into the little nooks and crannies I couldn't get with the foil. I also go over the whole thing with my finger to give it more of a weathered look, like it's been rained on or something. After that, I just go ahead and bake it. And I wanted to add some little ghosties to this stone. And to do that, I just roll out some blobby noodles of glow-in-the-dark clay. And then for each one, I just make some eye holes with my ball tool. I try and make all three of them look a little different, but once they're all shaped and ready to go, I go ahead and bake them. I think at some point in the future I will make a dedicated beetle sculpture. I still have that desire in the back of my mind. And if there's anything you guys want to see me make, please leave that in the comments below. I'd greatly appreciate the options. So while that is baking, I will start with a black base coat for the headstone. And because of the texturing we did earlier, when we start adding in our dry brushing layers, the texturing that we did comes out really well. And as for the colors for the dry brushing, I just go in with a medium gray and slowly getting lighter by adding in some white until I have just solely white. I'll use that to go over the sharper edges of the stone. Oh, and if you guys have anything that you want to ask me, feel free. I would love to answer any questions you guys have, and it gives me something else to talk about besides exactly what I'm doing in the videos. So because the headstone is supposed to be something that goes outside, I go in with some green. And as far as the placement of the green, my thinking is wherever water would naturally run down and pool, that's where I put green. And that's what I do. And I slowly build up that green so it's a little bit more opaque in certain areas, but I don't want it to be too prominent. And then I go over everything with just plain white that might have gotten covered up. For the ghosts, I just give them some black eyes. And I wanted them to have an overdrawn eye look, so that's what I'm doing now. And I didn't like how the just plain clay looked, so I'm just going over all three of the ghosts with some white dry brushing. So after everything was done, I was looking at the headstone and thought it needed a little something, and painted some 3 handprints for the 3 ghosts with some glow-in-the-dark paint. And with that done, let's look at the final results. Thank you all so much for joining me today, and I hope you all enjoyed this just as much as I did creating this. Let me know what you all think in the comments below. See you soon. Bye!